Good here. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and just wanted to do a fun video today. We know usually the evening videos can be just a little more off book, can be a little bit more abstract, I guess, if you want to call it that as well, but just fun, really, because what's life without a little fun now and then? But in any case, I wanted to do a little video tonight as the transfer window has come and gone. We've done our transfer business. I've already shared my thoughts on that. If you guys want to go back and watch that video, I did put the link in the description. That was a video we did Saturday. My buddy Justin came over. But it sounds like, and this isn't just me being kind of jumping the gun, but it sounds like INEOS are already being proactive and they're already planning for January and even next summer as they look to properly rebuild the squad, probably rebuild it for the first time properly since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, right? We've kind of just been a little bit more reactive, a little bit more shotgun approach, a little bit more knee-jerk, hesitant, delayed, slow, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're used to seeing. And then INEOS came in, whole new recruitment structure, whole new way of going about our business, getting good deals, willing to walk away, selling players, most importantly, a lot going on. And so I like what I've seen. And so I know some of you are probably thinking it's too early to be talking about January transfers. There were 3 matches in. It's first week of September. I get it. But again, it's never too early to start planning, to start thinking. You know that INEOS are doing it. You know that Sir Jim and everybody's doing it. Why not us as well? It's good to talk. It's good to chat. I know some of you are a little bit like me, a little nerdy. You like to scout. You like to watch other football leagues around the world and check out players. I know my boy Danny, if he pops in, he'll let you know. He's always ready with the South American scouting. So I think we should already be planning to strengthen the squad, bring in young players for the future, like we've seen us do with Obi Martin, with Kone, Lusail, I think, if we got that one done as well. I think maybe we should also listen to some more offers for players in the squad currently in January. And then I think we should maybe look for some outlying, some kind of unique opportunities that may present themselves in January, sort of like the Yusuf Fofana situation at Monaco this summer. Last year the contract wasn't going to renew. Monaco wanted to get something for him, and so things like that will pop up again in January because there are players entering the final year of their contract. There are players from leagues all over different parts of the world whose leagues are going to end in November. They're going to end in December. Like, not all the leagues in football start. MLS doesn't start and end the same as the Premier League. Argentina, Brazil, Norway, Sweden, all these leagues have different start and end times. And so there could be some opportunities here if we're doing our due diligence now, being proactive and making those contacts and scouting now. There could be opportunities there. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So we know INEOS met a few weeks ago to discuss future transfer windows after it pretty much seemed like after Ugarte was done, this was all wrapped up, right? They were discussing positions that we're going to be strengthening. We know that they were talking a little bit about a left back. Milos Kerkez's name came up. Rayan Aït-Nouri's name came up. This is who they've been looking at. Malacia is still working his way through his fitness after a long-term injury, kept him out last year. Luke Shaw can't be relied upon to stay fit. So left back was a big deal. I think we can all agree to, going in right now, the situation that our midfield needs some work as well. Scott McTominay's gone. Mason Mount's injured. Christian Eriksen, he's still at the club. Yes, Casemiro's not having a great time. Ugarte is not quite ready yet after just making like a deadline day official move. So the midfield is actually lighter than it was when we started by all standards. So in Casemiro's lows, on his low points, they're hitting new depths, and it's looking more and more like he can't hang these days in the league. To be fair, and I said this the other day, some of his low points have been more to do with tactics. How aggressive we were against Liverpool kind of left him exposed, kind of left Manu exposed. I don't know why we were trying to build up from the back with Casemiro. We already talked about that. Go check out that video too. Mason Mount's fitness is a bit of a worry. Again, we sold McTominay. And I do think we can just file Eriksen in the same category as Casemiro. Maybe just the injury hit him, can't hang anymore. Anderlecht were injured. We're interested. His wages were too much. Ajax potentially were interested. His wages are too much. Could be an opportunity. Nick, good to see you, my guy. I popped your shirt in the mail today, my friend. So it will be there when it is there. But Nick, Danny, if you are watching, your shirts are in the mail. Drop those off today. So keep a lookout for those. Probably next week. But keep a lookout for those. Thank you guys again for supporting the channel and always popping up. If you guys have been watching, the shirts were part of a giveaway as a thank you for helping the channel grow, helping the channel get to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 1,200 subscribers. We're on the road to 2K. So as we keep going, we'll do some more giveaways, but that was a giveaway. So I appreciate you guys. So yeah, Erickson, Awiri, Casemiro, Awiri, Mount, injury prone. Now, oh, thank you. Oh, you're welcome, bud. No problem, man. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and helping it grow, man. Well, big up. Heart. That was a horrible heart. There it is. So the January transfer window is notoriously not great for signing players, right? A few clubs have done their business. You remember Arsenal brought in Aubameyang. But we have been able to bring in some key players in the past. We brought in Bruno in January, Juan Mata in January, Nemanja Vidic, probably the best center back this league has ever seen, Patrice Evra, and even Amad Diallo joined us in January. He's looking like a bright young player. Today, though, I wanted to get your thoughts on what United's January transfer business should look like this year. I want to share a few options of my own. So I've got my own options. Get involved in the chat with your options as well. Try to keep it realistic. Like I said, who maybe is entering the final year of their contract, who is for sure up for sale, not wanted, who's a bright young player that we've been looking at, who maybe is in a league that's going to end, November, December, January-ish, who could be in the off season during that time, right at the time when we're in the middle of our season. So those are the kind of things I tried to consider. So this doesn't only mean looking at players joining too. Maybe we'll look at players who are kind of going to be leaving as well. So I think that we've already been linked with interest in a few of the players that I'm going to talk about today. But I'm going to go through them. I'm going to go through some of them and then see who I think can make really good January options. So let's get stuck in. So first things first, and if my boy Danny's watching, he's going to jump into Franco Mastantuono. Did I say that right? He plays for River Plate, 17 years old, can play number 10, can play wide. We were linked with him. Real Madrid were linked with him. I think Real Madrid nearly signed him, actually, but they ended up pulling the plug. So again, he can play as an attacking midfielder. He can also play on the wing. Versatile. We know we like that. We've seen Bruno push to the wing. We've seen Rashford pushed up front. Xerxes can drop back a little bit, play 9.5. Amad Diallo can play 10. It's good to have a little bit of versatility. So he can't actually make the move to a new club until he turns 18, Mastantuono. But that doesn't mean a deal can't be done in January, and then we can even loan him back. Clubs do that kind of stuff all the time. We've seen it over and over again. And I think that it's a player, obviously, since we've been linked with him and it's something that we're planning for the future, it's going to be in that same category as a Kone, as an Obe Martin, kind of one for the future. Kind of like when we brought Garnacho into the club. We didn't sign Garnacho when he was like 6. We signed him when he was like 15, 16. Played a couple of years in the academy, and then we moved him into the first team. So Mastantuono has been a part of River Plate's first team since he was 16. And he has shown a calmness, like a composure on the ball, like we've seen from Kobbie Mainoo at times. You don't often see that from such a young player, and I really, really like that in him. He already has a goal and 2 assists in 6 starts this season. He's been featured in the Team of the Week twice. Bonus, he's also very good at free kicks. He scored from a direct free kick not too long ago as well. So I really like Mastantuono. If Real Madrid are interested in him for the future, you know that he's got something. We're interested in him. It sounds like INEOS are really looking at building and recruiting some of the best young players they've scouted, and he sounds like another one. So keep an eye on this guy. If you guys are able to watch any of the Argentina League, watch that. I know Danny is a big, big fan. So moving on. Another player we've been linked with who I think we should be going after right now, at least getting him signed, and then we can loan him back until the end of their season. This is Sverre Nijpan. We've talked about him a couple times. One for the future. We do have legitimate interest in him. He's 17 years old. Again, he can't move till he's 18. He himself confirmed that we are interested as well. He's a regular. He plays for Rosenborg in Norway. He's a regular in their starting 11, even as a young player. But he's already got 5 goals and 5 assists this season, including a hat trick he scored not too long ago. He can play pretty much anywhere in that midfield, but Rosenborg tend to play with a 4-3-3. and he tends to play as that left-sided 8. He gets a lot of touches just inside his half and just inside the opposition half. He's a really good playmaker. If you ever watched him play, he reminds me a lot of almost like Goody, maybe I guess you could say Odegaard as well. When he gets into the final third, he's in that final phase of attack. He can just, it's like an awkward rhythm, the way he'll dribble and the way he'll pass. He'll pass it when you don't expect him to, and he finds these passing lanes and finds these open players that in these passing lanes that not everyone really can see. Rajat, what's up, man? Welcome back. So I really like what I've seen from Naipan. Obviously, we are interested. He is a United fan. It's his dream to play for United, so that's a bonus. I know Arsenal were recently rumored to be looking at swooping for him in January. If we are interested, this guy could really come in and probably be an understudy for Bruno in the next year, and then even replace Bruno in the next couple of years as well, I think. Not as like Bruno is gone, but he could come in and be a regular option in the squad. I think we need to lock this down. Like I said, we get the deal done and loan him back for a year or so at Rosenborg if we want to, and nothing wrong with that. But if he's one that we have on our list, if he's one we really want, and we are interested in him, then we need to just go ahead and get it locked down. Raja says, Odie, not that good. I can't believe Odegaard is in for a Ballon d'Or vote when Arsenal have not won anything at all, but Bruno doesn't even get a mention after winning the FA Cup. It doesn't make sense. This is why I don't really put much stock in the Ballon d'Or. It's, for so long, it was Messi, Ronaldo. It was almost like a popularity contest. The only time for me it had any sort of legitimacy is when Luka Modric won it. But other than that, if Danny Carvajal doesn't win the Ballon d'Or this year, then that's a shambles. Danny Carvajal won so much with Real Madrid. He won the Euros with Spain. He was an integral part of all that. Danny Carvajal deserves a Ballon d'Or this year. Fight me if you don't agree. So Sphere Naipan, let me guys know what you think of Sphere Naipan of Franco Mastantuono. If Danny pops up, he will tell you what's up. As long as Rodri don't win it, says Raja. Yeah, I mean, City, by their standards, City didn't have a great season last year. They won the league, but when did they not win the league? When you go from winning a treble to only winning the league, and the way they got knocked out of the Champions League was embarrassment. I knew as soon as Bernardo Silva stepped up to take that pen that he was going to miss. It was a horrible pen. But I think Carvajal will get my vote. I think that Carvajal's out of everyone involved. I like it when now that it's not just Messi and Ronaldo anymore. But let me know. No one says you guys said no Carvajal. Why not Carvajal? Who gets your vote? He won Champions League. He's won pretty much everything there is to win almost this season, and he was an integral part of all that. He was very, very influential in the Champions League for Real Madrid. He's very influential in Spain's Euro win. I mean, to me, he gets my vote, but it is what it is. Well, moving on. So next on my list, if you notice, these first couple are ones that we've been linked with because I do think that our interest is legitimate. I do think that there's an opportunity to go back in January and get these deals done. But next on my list is Carney Chukwuemeka, 20-year-old, plays for Chelsea, attacking midfielder, can play wide if you need to. I think he could probably drop back and play as like an attacking 8 as well if we needed to. Links with United and Chukwuemeka gathered steam in the final days of the transfer window, thanks partially to Mason Mount's injury, but also if you remember that Jadon Sancho moved to Chelsea. There were a lot of talk that Chelsea wanted to include a player and make it sort of a swap kind of a thing, and Carney's name was chucked in there a few times. Of course, that didn't materialize, and recent reports claim, in fact, that Chelsea are stunned that Chukwuemeka is still at the club, especially since he's really not in Enzo Maresca's plans, and they thought he would definitely get some interest. It doesn't help Chelsea, though, that he's on $100K a week. He's got 4 years left on his contract, and he's got a £40 million release clause that nobody really wanted to pay. I don't know how you can't stick to your guns on the release clause, but then also basically not want a player at the club. You can't have it both ways. Obviously, Chelsea didn't want to have to sell too many players after spending so much. They want to try to maximize what they can get for players. That's what you do when you have to sell to buy. It is what it is, but no one is going to pay that. But he is at Chelsea still. Supposedly, he wants to prove a point and maybe earn some minutes, but recent reports do indicate that if Chukwuemeka doesn't get more minutes, then he will look to move in January, and I think that's an option that United really maybe need to consider. There's loads of reports that he could push for a move again, and I think that I would like to see us go for that. Raja says, got Gore, don't need an attacking 10. You think Gore's ready? So, again, Chukwuemeka can play as a 10. He can play wide. I can see him as attacking 8. Chelsea, remember, brought in Kieran Dewsbury Hall for, I forget how much, it was like 35 million or something. I don't think they really needed to bring in Dewsbury Hall when they've got Chukwuemeka there, because I saw a chart comparing Dewsbury Hall and Chukwuemeka's numbers, and Chukwuemeka's got better numbers. His pass completion is better by 10%. He's got 2.8 tackles per 90 compared to 1.86 for Dewsbury Hall. Similar key passes, he's a little less, like 1.4 compared to 1.5. He gets more shots off. He has more assists, and he has more goals. So I think that you can almost argue that Chelsea spent money on Dewsbury Hall that they didn't need to spend, but it is what it is. This is a hard thing when you're a player and a new manager comes in, especially when you have a squad like Chelsea's where they've spent so much time. It's going to be hard to get time at Chelsea. So let me know your thoughts on Chukwuemeka. Rajat says we don't need him. If Gore is ready, then Gore would be in and around the first team by now. But remember, he had that injury. Gore is still very young. He was part of preseason last summer as well before he picked up that injury. So we'll see what happens. But you never know. Jack Fletcher is coming around the bend, I think, in the next couple of years too. So I really like what I see from Jack Fletcher. He's looked very, 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 very good with the Rezzies. So let me know your thoughts. Those are the three we've been interested in, that we've been heavily linked with as far as that position goes, central midfield. Those are three I think could be worth going back in January and looking at. Raja says, loan Guler off Real if he doesn't get game time. Yeah, Real Madrid, they're stacked in their midfield. With Guler, with Brahim Diaz. I wouldn't mind Brahim Diaz either. Bellingham, everybody they've got in midfield. It's insane. But I like Guler a lot. I think he's really good. But is he going to start over Bruno? Is he going to want to rotate? If he doesn't want to rotate at Madrid, why would he come here and rotate with Bruno? So I think that it'd be hard to make that happen, especially in January. But, nothing's off the table, right? You never know. So before I give you a few of my personal picks, not just the picks that we've been listed with, if you haven't yet hit the like button, go ahead and do that for me. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and just hit the like button too if you're like me and Danny Boy and we want to enjoy a bit of casual scouting and a bit of transfer talk. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I used to write my own scout reports on my old website. You can still find a couple of them. If you scroll all the way down on like my Twitter profile, you'll find some old ones. Or if you check around on SoFIFA and look in the comment section on some players around SoFIFA, you'll find some links to some scouting reports as well. I also, because I'm such a big nerd about it, I do have a level 1, level 2 talent ID certification from the PFSA. I've got a data analysis certification from the PFSA. I am certified in sports psychology as well. I do have a master's in psychology. So there's those added layers to the scouting process that I really enjoy as well, looking at it from a psychological perspective. So I do enjoy it. It is something I really, really love to do. I love more to talk about and give you guys' opinions as well. All that to say, I watch a lot of football, way more football than I probably should. So be sure to get your picks in from the January options, but keep it realistic, please. And when it's time to order your next jersey, because we're all football fans, we all like jerseys. I've gotten plenty. You guys have seen how many I wear. It's embarrassing. It's not a flex. It's embarrassing. I have a problem. I have a serious problem. But when it's time to get your next jersey, check out Go Shop. If you are tired of spending more than $100 or £100 or whatever on a shirt, just because you got to get it from the club's website. I mean, come on. $150 for a player issue shirt is insane. Who wants to spend that money? I mean, come on. That's your whole Christmas budget right there, right? I can promise you won't spend anywhere near that if you go to Go Shop. I have a few jerseys from Go Shop and another on the way. I just ordered another one the other day. They did hook me up with my own unique discount code to pass along to you as a thank you for helping United vs. Everybody community grow to over 1,200 subscribers. We are on the road to 2K, guys. Remember what I said. I promised if we got to 2K, I'd do another giveaway, and I would get one of you guys a copy of FC25 on the platform of your choice, and then I would get you a jersey of your choice. We'll do 2 of them. But if you want to get your own jersey now, you don't want to spend money, you can't wait, and you want to get $5 off your order, Click on the link in the video description after the video is over with. You can go take you directly to the site to get $5 off with the voucher. Or you can simply put in the code 65243E at checkout and get you $5 off your order, guys. So keep that in mind. And let's get back to my transfer targets. Let's see what you guys are saying first. Danny Ceballos can play there as well at the 10 role. Yeah, I mentioned Danny Ceballos the other day as an option as the window was closing and we needed a central midfielder. I put out Danny Ceballos, Adrian Rabiot. I listed James Ward-Prowse. I think that was before he made his move as well. Danny Ceballos is a good player. I think he'd come in and do a job for us, but it's not going to happen now. So it is what it is. So I have two other options in midfield now that I think would be good to take a look at. Starting with, it's going to be a familiar face for a lot of you, but it's Rayan Cherki. Plays for Lyon. So if Thiago Almada, who was playing for Atlanta United, moved to Botafogo, if Thiago Almada continues along that multi-ownership pipeline and heads to Lyon from Botafogo, because the guy who owns Botafogo also has a stake in Lyon, he has a stake in Crystal Palace, he might do so if Rayan Cherki leaves Lyon after failing to agree to a new contract. So anyone who's played FIFA in the last few years knows all about Rayan Cherki. It feels like he's been around forever, but he's still only 21. He's press resistant. He's good on the ball. He's a really good dribbler, good passing range. He's in the top 1% for successful take-ons, top 4% for progressive passes, top 8% for shot creating actions. This guy is a creation machine. And he does pitch in off the ball as well. He's in the 77th percentile for tackles when it comes to attacking midfielders. So he's a pressing, win the ball back kind of midfielder as well. He's entering the final year of his contract. Now, he was linked with Borussia Dortmund and a couple other clubs. That didn't end up happening. He's still at Lyon. Haven't signed a new contract yet. Final year of his contract. Interested clubs might be able to get him on a cheap in January, or maybe even get a handshake agreement behind closed doors to convince him to join them in the summer. He can't sign anybody on a Bosman ruling because he's not yet 23, but you could still do something behind closed doors there. I think he could be a really good long-term Bruno replacement. He's versatile. He can pitch in on wide positions if we need some coverage there as well. I really like Cherki a lot. Do you think he's ready to make a step up to the Premier League? Would that be somebody you'd like to look at? Maybe try to do a cheap deal in January before Lyon lose him for free? Let me know your thoughts. Raja says, good transfer news outlet other than Romano and David. Why did Grimaldo get Ballon d'Or nominated? There's a lot of crazy Ballon d'Or nominations out here. Like, how did Granit Xhaka get a Ballon d'Or nomination this year? Like, it's insane. The Ballon d'Or, this is why I don't take it seriously. It's just nothing. It's like, it needs to just be like, it's what are the criteria? Is it just league? Is it Champions League? Is it what falls in the Euros and the World Cup? I mean, it's insane, but I don't take it seriously. Neither should you. It's a popularity contest. It's a team sport. I don't really go in for the individual awards as much, but we'll see. Moving on, I have another target that probably you not ever heard of, somebody that I keep my eye on for a little bit. So his name is Mykola Shaparenko, and he is a Ukrainian. He plays for Dynamo Kiev. I promise next time I'll find players with shorter names, but Chukwuemeka, Shaparenko, like, it is what it is. He's a playmaker. He can play as an 8, or he can play as one of the midfielders in the double pivot in the 6s. He does drop deep a lot to receive the ball, and he dictates play with a very excellent passing range. He's like that. He's like a next B-Tech kind of Frankie de Jong kind of option. You know, he's going to drop deep. He's going to pick up the ball off the defenders, turn around, and kind of move it up the pitch. Something that we're probably crying out for a little bit more. He was 6th in the Ukrainian league last season for key passes per 90. Ukrainian league is a very short season, but they also take a very long winter break. It's like a month and a half. And so we could approach Dynamo Kiev during their winter break, our January window, and either maybe sign a pre-contract now or even make the transfer in January. And that would even still give them plenty of time to replace him as well. He'd be a good option. Go check him out. Raja says, I like Kokshu and Lafia. I do like Orkin Kokshu. I liked him a lot when he's at Feyenoord. Then he went to Benfica. Anybody who wants to buy him from Benfica is going to pay $100 million for him now. like he was really good at Feyenoord. His passing numbers were insane at Feyenoord. Nick Fairley, never heard of both Thiago Almada. Thiago Almada is very, very good. Go check him out. And then you're talking about Rayan Cherki, plays for Lyon. Very, very popular for the last few years. He's still very, very young. And then right now I just finished talking about a guy named Mykola Chaparenko. He plays for Dynamo Kiev. He's Ukrainian central midfielder. Very good at picking, pretty much starting the attack, dropping deep, picking up the ball, and basically dictating play. Very, very good midfielder. So go ahead, check that out as well. Rasha says, oh no, not the next Modric. Now, Modric was a very young winger. Some people were really trying to get. This guy is in his mid-20s. He's a really good midfielder. He kind of reminds me of like an Ivan Ilic who plays for Torino, who I really, really like as well. A lot of good young players out there. You guys should go watch a couple of the leagues every now and then just to pick up some new names. So I've got those two midfielders, Rayan Cherki, Mykola Chaparenko at Dynamo Kiev. Both those entering the final year of their contract. Both can be gotten for a really, really good price this January if we wanted to. So Dynamo, I think, have fended off some rumors linking Chaparenko with a move away this summer, saying that they're only going to sell him to a big club. They are in the Champions League, so he'd have to take a step down and play in Europa League, but it's United, so we'll see what it is. So moving on, I have two more players in a different position that I think this is like an asterisk option, mainly because it has a lot to do with what our left back situation looks like in January. Obviously, the transfer window ended, and we're in the same situation with left backs that we were in last summer. We only have two. Luke Shaw is not fit. Malacia is still not recovered. And so we thought maybe that we were going to get one. I said going into the months that we needed one. It didn't happen. So this is going to depend on our fitness situation. It can go either way depending on how Shaw does. I know INEOS met and decided the left back wasn't a priority at the moment, but Dallo and Mezraoui are our only fit left backs right now. If Luke Shaw and Malacia aren't fit, then neglecting the left back position this summer could really put us in a tight spot leading up to the January window. And we could be stretched thin, sort of like when Ronaldo left and we didn't have a striker for a little while. Our hand may be forced, though, come January if Shaw just can't stay fit and Malacia is taking too long to recover. We can't play the rest of the season with just two fullbacks. We just can't do it. And so I'd like to see, if that's the case, I'd like to see us move very, very quickly and start planning now to remedy any potential crises that left back, if that's the case. So with that in mind, though, I don't want to just do emergencies like we did before. I want us to just say, you know what, if Shaw can't be fit, then Shaw can never stay fit. And we need to just get our starter from now on. Who is top on our list? Let's look at those options, see what it needs to do. We need to prioritize that. That should be the first position we sign going into next summer if we don't do anything in January. So with that in mind, any left back needs to be first team ready. It needs to be someone that we're looking at because they want us to get who we want. So my first option here is Rayan Aït-Nouri. We've been linked with him. Supposedly he's on the list. You guys love him. I love him. 23-year-old Algerian, plays for Wolves. It's a bit of a stretch, this one, but like I said, and Liverpool have been linked with him as well. It's a stretch because this has a lot to do with, again, our fitness situation, but also with Wolves' position in the table and their performances. If we are still in need at that time and Wolves are struggling because they're not doing great at the moment, if they're still struggling, I would prioritize Aït-Nouri in January if he is on our list. He's only on like 10K a week. It wouldn't take much to convince him to move on personal terms. His ball progression numbers are stellar. He's still in like the top 20% for like tackles per 90 as well. So he's an ideal kind of Tenhag-esque left back in terms of he gets forward, he's very attacking, but he can also do a defensive job as well. I think he's what Ten Hag really likes in a fullback. Rajat agrees, left back is a priority to get. Will Mezraoui like to get Algerians? Don't know, but I'm kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the political situation is, if that's what's going on. But I think if Aït-Nouri is on our list and we're still down a left back and Wolves are struggling, I think we swoop and we make a shrewd offer and see if we can't convince him to join. Because Liverpool aren't going to maybe make that move in January if they're still interested. We can make a move, and I think that helps We get him in early. It's coming out of the budget. That's fine. It's a priority position. Just get it done if the opportunity. With INEOS, my whole theme with them, opportunity is there, get it done if the opportunity is there. I operate under the philosophy when it comes to a lot of things in life. The answer is always no if you never ask the question. If you never even ask Wolves or you never talk to 8 Norway's representatives, then the answer is always going to be no. At least if you ask the question, it opens the door. So I like 8 Norway a lot. I know you guys do. He's one of my options. My other option is a little bit more of a possibility simply because Ipswich are newly promoted. They're not looking great. Kieran McKenna was already rumored to be leaving. He could still be leaving. Ipswich could be picked clean this summer if they end up getting relegated again. So I've already talked about this guy before. I'm going to talk about him again because he's still on my list. Leif Davis, 24 years old. He led the championship last season in assists. He had 18 assists last season, y'all. That is insane. He was named in the championship team of the season. The guy has an engine. He is up and down that left side of the pitch. He has great crossing ability, really good at creating chances with balls into the box and getting into those areas. He's out of contract next summer, so he's got 1 year left on his contract. And if Ipswich are struggling by mid-season, we could even make a bold approach in January to get something done. If Ipswich don't look like they're going to be staying up, if they're favorites to go down, they might want to maybe ensure that they get some money beforehand. Who knows? It would take probably a big fee, but again, it will depend on what Leif Davis wants. It would depend on Ipswich's situation. It'll probably depend on what Kieran McKenna is going to be doing at the end of the season, and it's going to depend on whether or not he's on the list. And of course, it's going to depend on our left back situation. I honestly think we need to move on from Shaw. And I think capitalizing on Leif Davis's contract situation and the potential relegation battle that Ipswich Town could face could be a very shrewd bit of business on our end. I think he represents an excellent opportunity to get. I think he would be really good with Rashford on the left. I think we've seen that Rashford does really well with Shaw on the side. And I think Leif Davis has a similar profile. There's going to be a lot of overlaps. I think he's young enough still. You could also implement a little bit more of the underlapping as well and maybe raise his tactical game a little bit more as well. I'd like to see United use January to grab a few young future, like I mentioned, like we've been linked with. We need to plan for an understudy for Bruno in the coming months, and if there's an opportunity to capitalize on someone like Rayan Cherki, if he's on the list, final year of his contract, I think that it's never too late to start planning for that as well. And he's versatile, so I like that. I think we also need to make a hard, maybe brutal and ruthless decision on Luke Shaw's future at the club. And again, if he can't stay fit by January, I think that needs to be the decision. Like, it's nothing personal, but if you can't stay fit for half a season, then you can't stay fit. We need to move on. And if that opportunity presents itself that time to snatch up one of our top targets to replace him, then we need to capitalize on it. We need to take advantage of that. There's also an opportunity to see, when January rolls around, if Lindelof can be sold, if Eriksson can be sold, we might have some extra funds to work with and some free wages in the wage budget to maneuver with as well. So a lot of opportunities there. We know teams were interested in both. The wages, we're not doing it. It's up to them how they want to do the wages, but we could still get some money. We could probably get like maybe 10 million for both of those guys in January. So we'll see what happens. Raja says, what about Anthony Robinson for left back? Rate him. I like Anthony Robinson. I don't see it necessarily, in my opinion, as being a realistic one in January. He's 27. His numbers aren't great. So I know that we were linked with him. And I'm not saying we're not linked with him. And I'm not saying that just because I don't like him that it's not true. We were linked with him. He's just... He doesn't move the needle for me like someone like an 8 Norway or a Leif Davis does personally. And given his age and then given what his numbers are compared to some of these other guys, it's just, to me, the other guys are they're better in my opinion. So it's not that I think Anthony Robinson's bad. I just think 8 Norway and Leif Davis are better options personally. Just like I think Kadioglu was a better option than all of them put together. So Nick Faley, it's 7:30 a.m. here. Got to go working. Thanks for stopping by, Nick. Keep an eye on the post for the shirt, bud. Appreciate it. Raja says, can do that, or if plan is to get Branthwaite because he can play as a left back. His natural spot is probably CB. Has Branthwaite ever played as a left back, though? I know people think that he can. I don't know where it became a thing where if you're just because you're left or right footed, you can also play fullback. I don't know many players who do that. I think some people confuse, like Hermoso, for instance, they say, oh, he can play left back. Well, I've never seen him play left back. Atletico play with 3 at the back, and so their wider center backs get forward a little bit more, but they're not left backs. So I do think people confuse that sometimes. But I think for us to get Branthwaite, we would have to sell Lindelof and Maguire personally. But we'll see. You never know. He's injured right now. So, like I said at the start of the stream, though, this is all very, very premature talking about January transfers, right? But like I said, the evening shows are fun shows. A lot of this is going to depend on our fitness, on our budget, where some of these other teams are in the league. You know, right now I'm just going on by what we know for our squad fitness-wise. No Luke Shaw, no Malacia, no Mason Mount, Christian Eriksen, Casemiro. I think we need a midfielder. We needed another midfielder in the summer. We do need a left back. That's still going to be the case in January. It could be more of a crisis in January, but these are the options who I'd like to see us maybe go for if the opportunity presents itself. Some of them are going to be out of season in January because their season ends earlier. Some of them are entering the final year of their contract. And some of them are young players that we've been looking at that I'd like us to go ahead and lock down now so we have them. Loan them back if you want, but let's get them in and just have them on books. So, because especially if they're our top targets. There's no reason to miss out on your top target, especially when it's some of these young players. So let me know what your thoughts are on January. Are you thinking about January? I'm always thinking about transfer windows. I probably was a sporting director in another life, maybe, but I'm always on the lookout for the next top young talents, the bright up and coming hidden gems, the next big thing coming out of some of these smaller leagues and some of these smaller countries. It's really fun. It's a bit nerdy, but whatever it is, maybe I just have too much time in my hands. But in any case, I like to see us look at midfielders. There are opportunities out there for really cheap, really shrewd signings. Let's get it done. Left back for sure. Raja said it depends on injuries as well. Not that anybody needs to get injured. You never know who is getting injured next. Facts only. True. So hit the like button if you haven't yet, you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Don't forget, when it's time to get your next jersey, go check out GoGo Shop. You won't be spending anywhere near the $150 that the clubs are going to charge you. Link in the description's got a unique code for you guys to go get $5 off your next order when it's time to get your next jersey. GoGo Shop hooked me up as a thank you to you guys for helping the channel get to 1,200 subscribers. So we're on the road to 2K. Thank you everybody for stopping by tonight. Nick, Rajat, appreciate you guys stopping by. And what do you guys hear, Rajat? Man, if Coyote wasn't transferred to Brighton, he would have been nice. Don't get me started. You're doing it on purpose. You know you're gonna make me cry. So enjoy your evening, guys. Keep a lookout on the news. As always, I'll stop by and get your thoughts if any late breaking news pops up. It's a bit quiet now that the transfer window is over, but I'll do what I can to stop by with some fun videos and get your thoughts on things. And then, of course, as the season kicks back up after the international break, we will be chatting about the matches, the results, the previews, all that stuff. So let me know your thoughts. Leave one in the comment. You know I will respond to all of them, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.